Look at your hands. Now look at your dog, your cat, any bird outside your window. Left side, right side, mirror image. Over 99% of all animal species on Earth are built this way. Insects, fish, reptiles, mammals, every land animal ever discovered. And the reason traces back to a single worm-like creature that lived on the ocean floor over 550 million years ago. One ancestor, one body plan, and almost nothing has been able to improve on it since. To get why this pattern stuck around for over 500 million years, you have to look at what came before it. Before bilateral symmetry existed, the ocean floor during the Ediacaran period looked like another planet. Soft-bodied organisms drifted through the water column or sat anchored to the seabed. Sponges, some of the oldest animals alive today, had no symmetry at all. Their bodies branched and folded in whatever direction worked, with no front, no back, no defined shape. They filtered food from the water passively, and that was enough. Then came the jellyfish body plan, radial symmetry. Picture a wheel. You can slice a jellyfish through the center from any angle and get two matching halves. It works well for floating. A jellyfish drifts through the open ocean, tentacles dangling in every direction, catching whatever bumps into them. No need for a front end, no need to steer. Cnidarians, the group that includes jellyfish, corals, and sea anemones, have survived for hundreds of millions of years with this design. If your whole survival strategy is drifting and stinging, radial symmetry gets the job done. But floating and filtering will only get you so far. At some point, an animal needs to chase food, escape a predator, or explore new territory. And to do any of that, it needs a front and a back. A head end that goes first and detects what is coming. A tail end that pushes it forward. Two matching sides that let it cut through water in a straight line. That is bilateral symmetry. And the moment it appeared, everything changed. The earliest fossil evidence of a bilateral animal is a creature called Kimberella, found in rocks dating back about 555 million years. Kimberella looked something like a small flat slug, a few centimeters long, crawling along the seafloor in what is now Russia and Australia. It left scratch marks in the sediment that suggested it had a muscular foot and fed by scraping algae off the surface. According to a 1997 study published in Nature by Fedonkin and Wagoner, Kimberella's body structure closely resembles the anatomy of early mollusks. Those scratch marks are important. They mean Kimberella was actively moving across the seafloor, choosing where to feed. That kind of directed movement is something a radially symmetric animal simply cannot do well. But Kimberella is just the oldest bilaterian we have found preserved in stone. The real origin goes deeper, to a hypothetical ancestor that evolutionary biologists call the Herbalaterian. No one has ever seen one. No fossil of the Herbalaterian itself has been identified. But by comparing the genetics of animals alive today, from fruit flies to whales, researchers have reconstructed what it probably looked like. A small, worm-like animal, maybe a millimeter long, living in the sediment of an ancient ocean, unremarkable by every visible measure. But inside its cells, it carried a set of genes that would go on to build almost every animal body on Earth. Those genes are called Hox genes. They act like a molecular blueprint, telling a developing embryo which body part goes where. Head at the front, tail at the back, limbs on the sides, organs in the middle. According to the University of Utah's Genetic Science Learning Center, Hox genes line up on the chromosome in the same order they activate along the body, from head to tail. Change the sequence and you get a different body layout. Duplicate the genes and you get more complex structures. The conservation is so deep that a chicken Hox gene can be swapped into a fruit fly embryo and still function, despite more than 500 million years of evolutionary separation between those two species. The Herbalaterian probably had around 7 Hox genes. Over hundreds of millions of years, those genes duplicated and diversified. Insects ended up with 1 cluster. Vertebrates ended up with 4, but the underlying logic stayed the same. Front, back, left, right, mirror image. The system was so effective that evolution kept running variations on the same theme instead of starting over. And there is a physics reason for that. A 2012 paper in the journal Biology Direct proposed what researchers call the maneuverability hypothesis. Their argument is straightforward. When an animal needs to change direction quickly, it pushes off a surface. A bilateral body, with 2 matched sides generating force symmetrically, produces the maximum thrust for a direction change. A radial body can push in all directions, but it cannot concentrate force as efficiently in any single direction. The bilateral animal turns faster, accelerates harder, and escapes predators more reliably. Think about a cheetah pivoting after a gazelle, or a hawk banking through a forest. Both of those maneuvers depend on matched limbs generating equal and opposite force. That advantage compounded over millions of years. Bilateral animals could hunt more effectively, flee more efficiently, and colonize new environments faster than their radially symmetric competitors. The arms race between predators and prey, both bilateral, prey drove body plans toward increasingly sophisticated versions of the same left-right architecture. Once predators had bilateral symmetry, prey needed it too. And once prey evolved it, predators had to get even better. The feedback loop locked in the design. If you find these stories interesting, hit subscribe. More animal deep dives drop on this channel every week. But not every animal followed the program. The exceptions are some of the strangest creatures in the ocean. Sponges never adopted any symmetry at all. They sit on the seafloor, pump water through their porous bodies, and filter out bacteria. They split off from the rest of the animal family tree before bilateral symmetry ever evolved. In a sense, they are living fossils of a body plan that predates the mirror image revolution. Jellyfish and their cnidarian relatives went with radial symmetry. They branched off from bilateral animals early in evolutionary history, or possibly before bilateral symmetry even arose in the common ancestor. The debate among evolutionary biologists is still open, but their lifestyle works. If you float or sit still, you do not need a front end. Starfish are the most surprising case. As adults, they have five-pointed radial symmetry, pentaradial, with no obvious front or back. But as larvae, they are bilateral. A baby starfish drifting through the plankton has a clear left and right side, just like a fish embryo. During metamorphosis, the left side of the larva grows into the entire adult body. The right side is absorbed. According to a 2023 Stanford University study, the adult starfish is, genetically speaking, a walking head. Most of its body expresses genes that in other animals only activate in the head region. The five arms, the tube feet, the whole radial architecture, all of it built from what was originally just the left half of a bilateral larva. So even the exceptions prove the rule. Starfish descend from bilateral ancestors. They just took the blueprint and rearranged it into something radial afterward. Then there are the animals that start bilateral and break the symmetry on purpose. Flatfish, like flounders and sole, are born looking like normal fish. Symmetrical face, one eye on each side. But as they mature, one eye migrates across the top of the skull to join the other. The adult flatfish lies one side on the ocean floor, both eyes pointing upward, its entire body twisted from the symmetrical plan it was born with. Thyroid hormones drive the transformation, and it happens over just a few weeks. The skull bones physically reshape themselves to accommodate the wandering eye. Fiddler crabs go asymmetric in a different way. Males develop one claw that can grow to nearly half their total body weight. The other claw stays small, used for feeding. The giant claw is a signal to females and a weapon against rival males. According to a 2013 study documented by the Smithsonian, longer claws are easier to see, making them better for display, but worse for fighting because they generate less force at the tip. Different fiddler crab species have evolved different compromises between showing off and hitting hard. And then there is the narwhal. Every male narwhal grows a single spiral tusk that can reach nearly 3 meters long. That tusk is not a horn. It is the left upper canine tooth erupting through the lip and spiraling counterclockwise as it grows. According to the Smithsonian Institution, the spiral pattern exists because the tooth would curve if it grew straight, so it twists instead, evening out the growth. The result is one of the most dramatically asymmetric structures in the entire mammal kingdom, packed with millions of nerve endings that can detect changes in water temperature and salinity. Every one of these animals, the flatfish, the fiddler crab, the narwhal, started bilateral and then selectively broke the symmetry for a specific advantage, whether that meant lying flat on the seafloor, waving an oversized claw at a rival, or growing a sensory tusk through the Arctic ice. But the underlying body pleth matches right, head in front, tail in back, remains intact underneath the modifications. That is the real legacy of the urbilaterian, a worm-like creature that probably lived and died in total obscurity on ancient seafloor, leaving behind a genetic toolkit so effective that 550 million years of evolution, mass extinctions, ice ages, and asteroid impacts could not replace it. Bilateral symmetry is not just common, it is the default setting for complex animal life on this planet. And it all started with one small body, moving in one direction for the first time.